morning, everybody. How you doing today? My name's Andrew.
I'm Grandpa.
Okay.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Matt. And we're some of the Veggie boys.
Okay.
And we'd like to thank you for stopping by. If you're new here, please consider subscribing because we can grow a lot of things on the farm, but one thing we can't grow is this channel without your help. Welcome back, everyone. It's so nice to see you. We got a beautiful day on our hands. You know, I say beautiful, it is a little bit on the chilly side just because we haven't been used to this cooler weather, but I'm not complaining. I kind of miss it. It's beautiful out here. And yeah, we're gonna have a good day. We're gonna have a good day, but it's also gonna be really different today. And the reason for that is because the farm market is closed. Yeah, you heard that correctly. We actually have a few days where the farm market is closed, kind of like a mini vacation for us. We've been working so hard through May and June. It's nice to have a few days off, and well, we're gonna be enjoying them. Now, just because we're on like a mini vacation doesn't mean there's no work to be done. There's always work to be done. And something I wanted to show you right away is the germination greenhouse and how, well, for lack of better terms, it's empty. We had our cucurbits right here and then our tomatoes at the far side of the greenhouse. We were able to get those all transplanted yesterday, which is a very good thing because that was our last planting of cucurbits and our last planting of tomatoes. Later on in the day, we're gonna check on that stuff that's just been transplanted. We are expecting rain this afternoon, so if it's raining, I probably won't head out there. But if it's on the drier side, who knows? We might do a little tour of all the vegetables that we have planted and the tomatoes, of course. Now, even though we are not open, what did you get started with right away this morning?
Had to load up a bunch of straw, got paid, doing well.
You're always doing well when you're getting paid, that's for sure. Whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, whoa.
I don't know which is yours and which.
Were you making stuffed French toast?
Yep.
Oh, wow, that looks good.
Good job.
There you go. I didn't make it too big, too, so I had to fit like a funky letter in there. That looks good. The end is kind of funky, but I think it looks good. Getting the sign all set up was the first big job we had to do today. I mean, I think it looks pretty good. It's gonna be easy to see from the road. The customers that don't know usually find out pretty quick when they see the sign. We try and post on our Facebook, we try and post on everything that we can to let people know. We also have signs up inside the farm market, and we try and tell every customer. I mean, we do miss some, so if we missed you, we're sorry. It happens, and we feel bad, believe me, we do. But we do have a bulk of the customers knowing that we're gonna be closed. So right away this morning, we're getting our breakfast, and then we're gonna be getting the animals all taken care of. I will say we don't have too many during the summer, spring months, but today is gonna be considered a chill day, and I'm gonna enjoy all of it. I lost my hat. I had to go grab a different one. I was working, and then I sat it down, and I couldn't find it. I don't know what happened. It might have been while I was eating. I set it down somewhere. But anyway, I got a new hat on. It's funny how our weather has kind of done like a complete 360. Everything is changing around. Going from dry weather to now we're expecting rain over this entire weekend. So that leaves us with a little bit of a concern. We have calves all out here, and there is plenty of space for them to get out of the weather. However, with the amount of rain we're getting over the weekend, we are concerned about them, especially because they're important to us. So something we're gonna be doing is finding a way to get these guys covered up. So that's something that needs to be done. Not that we're not gonna be around, but we wanna try and keep everybody as dry as possible. And then with the greenhouses, well, that's easy. We just turn on the automatic watering system. Now, we have been running around all morning and doing other things. It's the afternoon now, and we didn't get a chance to water what was on the wagon here. Can you tell? Oh, yeah, even we forget to water things sometimes. Although I will say this is more of a communication issue. We don't usually forget to water things, but sometimes we think other people watered and they didn't, which I think that's what happened here. I thought somebody else watered these this morning. Now, it is not the end of the world to let your plants get dry like this occasionally, especially when they're in the ground. You don't want to do it all the time, but once in a while it's not too bad. See, when plants start to dry out, it encourages the roots to continue looking for water, so it will help the plant to branch out more, which is very helpful, especially in those dry years. So by adding a little bit of water, it's going to perk these plants up, and also it's going to help them in their root development.
I'm just gonna try and not forget tomorrow, because that was an accident. And there we go. Crisis averted. Plants are watered. Now, we've been doing our best to keep a close watch on everything like we always do, but we've been trying to keep a closer watch on the vegetables. With the extra rain that we've been getting, the soil staying damp for longer, there is a higher chance that the plants could attract disease. Whether it's forms of mildews or any other type of disease, it's pretty easy once it starts to rain more. Once there's more moisture, it just seems like disease follows. And we've just been trying to stay on top of this stuff, and if we do get disease, we can catch it early. There are certain minerals that we as vegetable farmers can use to help fight off certain types of diseases for plants, but it's not helpful if you don't know which plant is struggling. So every so often, we like to go for a little bit of a ride and have an in-depth, detailed look at the crops, and that's what we're gonna be doing today. Look at that! Cherries on the tree! Woo! You know, we thought there wasn't gonna be any cherries because the freeze that we got late killed them all off. However, from what we've seen, we actually do have cherries on some of the trees. I think 2 trees have more of the cherries than the others. It is slim pickings, but I think we are gonna get some cherries. Nothing too crazy. It's not gonna be a big harvest. Look at that. Hey, check it out. And these are sour cherries, so you don't have to worry about the family eating them off the tree. I mean, they're good, but come on, they're sour. And over here to my right, the blueberries, they look pretty good. Gonna be a small crop of blueberries. Same thing with the cherries. When these were budding, we got hit with a pretty cold snap. And I see blueberries on there. Not near as much as we got last year, and not near the size of the blueberries last year. This is right above the house. We have a few different types of fruit. We have blueberries, cherries, grapes, and raspberries. I am seeing a few raspberries there. These are everbearing. They have a smaller, I would say, harvest. They have a smaller fruit in the beginning of the year, but later in the year, they have a larger berry. Over here are Matt's grapes. Hey, check it out. Getting little clusters coming. Between the cherries, blueberries, raspberries, and grapes, I'm gonna say our harvest will be closer to 50%, yeah, of what we got last year. I mean, anything is better than nothing. We would like 100%, but we'll be happy with what we can get. Now, our first stop for this video is gonna be the peas. Thankfully, we've already had plenty of time to spend out here in the peas with our first planting. What I'm walking through right now is our second planting, and from just looking at the plants, it's obvious to me that the plants are twice and probably 3 times the size of the first planting. We do have many blossoms showing up here in our first planting, and we also have peas starting to gain some size to them. Now, it's gonna be 4 or 5 days till we start harvesting this, but it is still nice to see that the peas are beginning to grow. Now, for us, there's not too much to be concerned about with disease when it comes to the peas. The lifespan of the peas is on the shorter side, so we don't really have that issue. Pest pressure can be a problem, not only with insect pressure, but also with deer and other animals. Thankfully, where these peas are located, it doesn't look like they've been affected by animals, and I haven't seen too much pest pressure. We've already talked about the peas quite a bit, which is kind of normal when you start picking them first. I really think this second planting is something we're gonna be very, very happy with, and it's definitely gonna outshine the first planting. I mean, while we're here really quick, we can touch on the wheat. Look at this stuff. It's starting to golden up. Now, we enjoy raising wheat for 2 reasons. 1, the grain, it's a great cash crop, but also 2, the straw that we receive from after the harvest is something that we sell also. And as you've seen, we seem to be selling more and more straw every day. So we're gonna need all the straw we can get. Look at this sweet corn, wow. This stuff has done really, really well the past couple of days. Are we gonna get sweet corn by the 4th of July? It's gonna be close. It's gonna be very close. I mean, it looks really, really nice. I don't think we're gonna get it. If we had more moisture early on, we might have been able to do it. We are in the pollination phase right now. What we need is for this stuff to fall down onto the silk, and that is what produces our kernels. When this stuff falls down onto the silk, each individual one that is pulled in will be its own kernel. So on a day like this, wow, the sweet corn is just making beautiful ears. There's plenty of stuff to be concerned with when it comes to corn. Deer damage is something that we always get hit with pretty heavily. It doesn't seem like we had too much issue. Now when the ears start to form, the deer will come through and bite the top of the ear off where that silk is. I don't know if it tastes sweet to them or what it is, but they really like eating that silk out of there. We also tend with things like raccoons, skunks, and crows that really love eating our sweet corn. We haven't seen too many of them around yet, but we also haven't been picking yet. So once we get further into the year, we'll have to update you on what damages we see. We have multiple plantings of sweet corn that follow our first planting under the biomulch, but then we also have some planted on bare ground here, and it looks like it's doing well. I think I'm just gonna park the side-by-side and walk it because there's a lot to talk about over here. Very recently, we just laid these extra rows of mulch here, and they have been kind of half planted. Now this section of the field is the longest. If you go out and back, that's over a half mile. So, I mean, it may not look like much is here, but it's a lot of planting and it's a lot of picking later on. So we have our last planting of cucurbits right there. And then if we move a little further to the other side of the road, this is where our last and final planting of tomatoes are. We have 3 different varieties of round and 1 variety of plum that is planted right here. And if we go a little bit further, this entire row is eggplant. So we have 1 eggplant row along with these tomatoes. But it's easy to see a difference as we move down this way to where our tomatoes are a little bit on the larger side. Again, same thing. We have 3 varieties of round here, but we have 2 varieties of plum now. Now we always get new people here on the channel, and I saw a few comments about our tomatoes last time we had showed them, and people were wondering when we were going to stake our tomatoes. And if you're new here, I have news for you. We do not stake our tomatoes. I know we're kind of the minority in that we do not stake tomatoes. In my lifetime, we have never staked tomatoes. Now, there's a few reasons why we don't stake tomatoes. One of the biggest reasons is we plant determinate varieties. That means that all the tomatoes are gonna come on in about a month-long period, and once we finish harvesting, well, the tomatoes are gonna be done. Another reason is we put this beautiful biodegradable mulch down for the tomatoes to grow onto. Once these tomatoes do get a little more size, they will fall over as tomatoes do, but they will fall onto the other plants and onto the mulch. And then lastly, but probably one of the biggest things, is we plant over 7 miles of tomatoes, and to stake 7 miles of tomatoes would be a lot of work. And something I can say is there's already plenty of work to do here on the farm. So if we were to take some of us away from the other jobs and stake tomatoes for what would be a few day-long process, well, some other jobs would fall behind. Now, I'm not saying don't stake your tomatoes. I would never say that. If we were only doing a few in a garden at home, we would probably stake our tomatoes. However, because we grow over 7 miles of tomatoes, it's just not beneficial or practical for our situation. Now, if you're a home gardener, you'll know that there's plenty of things that can go wrong with tomatoes. Just a few popular diseases that we see would be cat face or blossom end rot. And usually when you experience a disease like that, it's because they lack a certain vitamin or mineral that they need. Blossom end rot, for example, that's probably the biggest one that we experience. That's a calcium deficiency. And when we start to notice a calcium deficiency, what we'll do is we will take our sprayer and we will come over the top and foliar feed our tomatoes, thus stopping that issue, and all the new growth that comes on will no longer deal with that issue. Now, there are plenty of problems that we can face here, and we faced a lot of problems with raising different types of vegetables. But so far, from looking at the tomatoes, they look pretty good. I don't think we're gonna have too many issues. And one final thing we're happy about, we've got blossoms coming. That's always a good sign. Hey, and there's little tomatoes. What's up, guys? Okay then, moving on a little further down the field, we have our cucurbits. That would be our straight 8 cucumbers, our pickling cucumbers, zucchini, yellow squash, and yellow zucchini. These are growing very well. We are seeing lots of blossoms on each plant, and lots of blossoms is a great sign because that means we have cucumbers on the way. There's a little baby one. Check it out. Woo, yeah, he's growing. Now with your cucurbits, you're gonna see a lot of mildews, so that's something we're gonna have to keep a watch on. Again, minerals are important for fighting against that. But just look at these plants that we have here. They are exploding in growth. You see this light green on top? That is the plant pushing more growth. Is that a, ooh, there's 2 female flowers. 3, look at that, 3 little cucumbers on this plant. And then a little side note, right next to our cucurbits, we have some dill. Actually, there's a lot of dill. If we go that way, it stretches all the way down to the other end of the field. But in the same row of dill, we also have basil and parsley that we can harvest. Here's some more of that second planting of cucumbers. They look nice. And now finally, we have moved down to the peppers, which, I mean, I'm pretty happy with the peppers. We talked a little bit earlier on about loss in the peppers. We mentioned 10%. 10% is what we think we lost due to the extreme heat. And yeah, we're gonna stick with that number. That number sounds pretty good and it looks pretty accurate. We have 2 plantings of peppers out in this field. We have an earlier and then a later planting. We're worried they're gonna come on at the same time because of the weather issues that we face. I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. At least we're gonna get peppers. We do raise hot and sweet peppers. Some of the hot peppers that we raise are long Italian hots, jalapeno. We have red and orange habaneros. We also have some ghost chilies. We will be raising poblanos, hot Hungarian wax, and hot cherry peppers. Now for our sweet peppers, it's a little different. We have our bell. So we have the green and red bell. We have our purple bell, yellow bell, orange bell, chocolate bell, white bell. Is there any other bell? There's just so much bell. We also have the sweet frying peppers, the Italianelle and the Cubanelle. Those are very popular. The sweet banana peppers and the lunchbox peppers. And I think that's all the sweet variety we raise. I'm probably missing something. It's hard to think about it while you're out here. There is a size difference with our second planting as compared to our first. It almost seems as if the second planting is a little further along. As I'm walking, it's really easy to spot the new growth branching out from these peppers. For peppers, it's a little bit longer for the plant to get established as compared to some other vegetables or the tomatoes. See, when you transplant, every single vegetable or crop experiences some sort of shock. And peppers prefer it to be a little bit warmer, so when they are transplanted into this soil, it's a little bit colder than what they've been used to. So it takes a little while for them to come out of that. And then all of a sudden, boom, your peppers explode. Which I'm thinking once we start to get some warmer temperatures here after all this rain, that's what we're gonna be saying. Boom, the peppers exploded. Now, if you're new here, you're probably wondering why we need all this. Well, just wait. You'll see, it gets pretty wild around here. I spent a lot of time over here talking about these crops that we're raising. I think it's just because I get excited. I like this stuff and I enjoy being around it. And we have made it to the cole crops. Walking out through the field, there is the smell of cabbage in the air. Oh yeah. And we're starting to see wonderful head development for some of these crops. Now this field is pretty diverse with the type of stuff that is in it. All different types of day varieties for the cabbage that we're raising. We have cauliflower in here, different types of cabbage, broccoli, kale, and kohlrabi. Now over here we have a few different types of cabbage. Up there we have some Chinese cabbage, we have some Savoy, and then all the way at the other end we have red cabbage. But the stuff that we have in the middle of the field is really starting to develop a nice head. We were able to irrigate this all throughout the dry spell. So, I mean, this stuff looks just like normal. It looks perfect. Now, for this stuff, harvest time is fast approaching. If it starts to warm up and we get a little bit more rain, I think we're gonna be very, very happy with what we receive through our cabbage crop. Next in the line would be our cauliflower. We don't raise too much in spring, but I am starting to see tightening of the leaves around the center, which means it is starting to develop a head. You can see how it just curls around. Isn't that so cool? Wow, that's neat. Moving on from the cabbage and cauliflower, we now have our broccoli crop. I was trying to look through here to see if we could find any heads of broccoli. There we go, there's one. Hey, look at that little guy. And here's another one right here. Right here. Whoa, wait a minute. Look at this. This must be our early broccoli. That's ready to cut. And this is why you go and inspect your fields, because sometimes you might miss out on this stuff. Look there. That's beautiful. Nice tight head of broccoli. That one's a little small. Let's keep walking down through. That one's ready to cut. A little small, but I mean, in the next couple coming days. Woo-hoo-hoo. And then last but not least, we have our kohlrabi. Kohlrabi. Pronounce it any way you like. It's delicious. Here we are starting to see heads. I'd say some of those are golf ball sized, and I've seen a few baseball sized ones. Isn't that awesome? I love raising vegetables. That's fresh. That's good. Sorry. It's just, fast food is so good. Our last video, we talked about potatoes quite a bit, so I'm not going to touch on them too much. We haven't seen any potato beetle. Good. Haven't seen much disease. Good. We just hilled the potatoes, so good. I mean, right? It's very important to go out and look at your crops just to see what you have, just to see how everything's growing. Sometimes you get to treat yourself. It's one of the best and hardest things about working around all this food. There's always plenty to eat. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed doing this. It's a little different driving around to everything and getting a little closer, in-depth look. Should we do this more often? Let me know. How's this broccoli sound? Fresh, right? I know. Woo, I'm happy. Hey, what are you doing there? Hey, and how are you? Come on, come on, what? Come on. It's about, we're gonna eat dinner.
Where's your shoes?
Where's your shoes? Did Victor Wembanyama get drafted yet?
I have no idea who that is.
So anyway, now that we're all in for dinner, hon, what are we having tonight?
Tacos.
Alrighty, everyone, we are now sitting down at the dinner table, so you know what that means. This is where we're gonna end the video today. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, bye.